So it's another episode of Art and Our Entertainment, and I want to talk about Invincible. I am basically finished with the second compendium of Invincible. I want to say I probably have like 6 more issues to read, and then I'm done with it. And on to the third one. I am really liking it, you guys. We are ways past season 3 of the show, and that's what I really wanted to get into. I just wanted to figure out what's going on, because these shows take a lot of time to make because there's so much work and so much animation that they gotta lay down. The voice actors gotta know their parts of their dialogue, all that yada yada. So anyways, where I'm at right now, Oliver and Alan the alien have joined forces. They've joined forces to bring forth the Viltrumite scourge virus to Earth. So they're headed to Earth. I told you guys they had a clash with, or maybe I didn't, but they had a clash with Invincible once they told, not Invincible, but also, also him as well. But they also had a confrontation at first with Omni-Man. And Omni-Man was like, you cannot release this virus into Earth's atmosphere because it will kill the Viltrumites, but also it has a chance of killing humans because Viltrumite DNA and human DNA are almost 100% match. And so Alan's like, it is a good sacrifice. It is a worthy sacrifice if all humans have to die in order to kill the Viltrumites. So at this point, I'm like, Alan the alien has lost his freaking mind. He's crazy, and Oliver is crazy with him. And so they, after they make their way to Earth's atmosphere, they are then ultimately confronted by Invincible, and lo and behold, Thrag, this I consider him he seems like Thanos of this story in a way as far as presence, because you don't know what he may do. He seems very calm, but underneath the surface is like this scary, there's a scary, powerful energy about him because he is ruthless. He was trained as a warrior. All Viltrumites aren't trained to be warriors since birth, so this guy, at any moment he can flip, and he kind of shows you that for the little bit that you see him. That's what I like about his character. Let me get to the point. Ultimately, they confront Alan the alien. They say, "Hey, man, you cannot bring this virus down to Earth." Invincible and Thrag tell him how they have made a truce and how the Viltrumites are living amongst the humans, and Alan just does not want to accept that, this peaceful harmony can be a thing. He doesn't want to believe that the Viltrumites can change and that they can coexist. Nolan, aka Omni-Man, was trying to tell him this before. He's like, hey man, I lived on Earth for a while and I was able to reform myself to some extent. I made mistakes, but I've learned. I have a wife, I have a kid. I'm no longer thinking for the benefit of the Viltrumite Empire. I want to make a difference, and you cannot possibly kill all these people on Earth. And Alan, he's just not trying to hear that. He doesn't believe that the Viltrumites need to be, he doesn't believe that they can have a second chance. He doesn't believe that they can be redeemed. And so he's like, no. But eventually, as he's on this tirade of just, I'm going to destroy all the Viltrumites, eventually, Thrag, who is he's a very calm character in this story. I really like Thrag. I like how he has moments where he's very violent, and then the next moment he's just like this calm character who's able to, bring light to a situation, show differences, but also, find a solution. So he tries to make a truce with Alan the alien, and he does. It works for a while. And then the Guardians of the Globe show up. There's this big fight in Earth's atmosphere. Then Oliver steals the virus from Alan. He tries to bring it down to Earth. His older brother Invincible tries to stop him. So he's flying down to stop his brother Oliver from releasing his virus. They fight and, have basically a tug of war over this virus. And then the virus is released right in Invincible's face, right? The virus is released right in Invincible's face, and I'm like, oh my god, damn! I'm like, I'm like, does Mark die? Like, does he die in Compendium too? Like, is someone gonna take over for him? So like the virus, shoots into his face, and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. Like, it's very interesting, very fun, suspenseful material to read at this point. And so I'm locked in. I'm like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And Oliver's like, oh, because he was flying to Oliver and Invincible because they were going at it. Alan realizes that Mark has been infected with the virus, so he's trying desperately to help him because he is his friend. And so he's like, are you okay? Like, how are you feeling right now? And Mark is like, I'm okay, man, but don't you realize how stupid this was? Blah, 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 blah. And then he's like, we need to, and Alan is thinking like, okay, he's affected with the virus. I need to treat him like a patient now. And he's like, we need to quarantine you. We need to bring you somewhere where you're not in contact with any humans, any Viltrumites, because you are deadly. You are a walking infectious virus at this point. And then Mark's like, I'm all right, man. Leave me alone, And then we see like this big splash page of Mark's eyes dripping with blood, and you're like, oh shit. So yeah, it was good though. It was good. And one of the biggest things about that is, as we find out, Mark is in, later on we find out that Mark is in a hospital. These people are working on him. There's his friend Dinosaurus, I think that's his name. Dinosaurus is trying to find a cure for him too. He's trying to find a cure to help Mark, and then eventually Thrag's own personal doctor is trying to find a cure for Mark, and Thrag's personal doctor tells Thrag that Mark is actually doing pretty good fighting off the virus, and he's actually a match. Whatever that means. He's like, I've tested his blood and he's really doing a good job fighting the virus, but this is an early stage, but it looks like he's a match. And then, I don't know what that means, but Thrag, it must mean something very devastating, something, eye-opening, something that changes everything forever for Thrag, because Thrag grabs his doctor at that point and basically chokes him so bad that his head explodes, and he tells the doctor, who's dead, he's like, we can't tell anyone. No one must know about this. And I'm like, oh shit, what does this mean? So yeah, Invincible Compendium 2 is, this compendium is ending with a bang, and I have a feeling Compendium 3 is gonna have a bittersweet ending, and I'm not ready for it.